You're listening to E-Commerce Fastlane, episode 60.
Welcome to E-Commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, launch, grow, and scale a wildly successful e-commerce company. Listen to real conversations with proven practical strategies and success stories. Learn how to generate more traffic, more sales, more profit, and customer lifetime value for your Shopify store. And now, your host and e-commerce entrepreneur, Steve Hutt.
This episode is brought to you by ShopMessage.me, an incredibly powerful Shopify app. Do you want to know the secret marketing channel that Fashion Nova, Pura Vida bracelets, and Movement watches use to drive millions in revenue? The answer is Facebook Messenger, and it's powered by ShopMessage, the leading conversational marketing platform. When I saw how much revenue Shopify brands were making on Messenger, I was blown away. So I had to meet ShopMessage's co-founder and CEO, Arjun. I even recorded a podcast, episode 20, Learn Why Facebook Messenger is the e-commerce channel for the next decade and how you can capitalize. I just love the value that his company brings to brands. You will acquire more customers. You'll create more delightful interactive conversations. And most importantly, you're going to build brand loyalty. Now, for listeners of E-Commerce Fastlane, ShopMessage is now offering a 30-day free trial and guarantees you'll see at least a 4x ROI on your first paid month, or they'll refund the difference. So go to shopmessage.me/Fastlane. That's shopmessage.me/Fastlane and start your 30-day free trial today. Hey there, it's Steve, and welcome back to the E-Commerce Fastlane podcast. Now, if this is your first time listening, this is an e-commerce show where we have honest and transparent conversations about building and thriving online with your store powered by Shopify or Shopify Plus. Now, new episodes are available each week with your favorite podcast player through iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and now Spotify. Or you can also sign up online at ecommercefastlane.com and be notified when new shows are being released. Now, today I'm chatting with Ryan Lavery and Max Stewart from Perfect Audience. We're going to talk about all things retargeting. I know it's a topic that's, I want to say, been beat to death, but most people realize that, in fact, there's a significant amount of customers that are coming through paid acquisition or organically or word of mouth are coming to your website. You know, and I think their number's been thrown out that there's like 98% of your visitors tend to leave without converting. Today's conversation really is going to talk about, is there software or is there a process in place, a scalable process to be able to retarget these people that somehow have learned about your brand and how you can get them to come back? And we talk about web retargeting and Facebook and just the connection with Shopify and being able to dynamically retarget visitors based on what their viewing history has been across device and mobile and Twitter. And I have a ridiculous amount of questions today because I think it's a super important topic. So I really appreciate you listening in today. So let's jump into the show. So hi, Ryan and Max. Welcome to E-Commerce Fastlane.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having both of us on today.
My pleasure. You know, let's talk on a high level first about what does Perfect Audience do? And I talked about a little bit, but what problem is it solving for Shopify store owners or brands?
Yeah, great question. So at a very high level, Perfect Audience gives Shopify store owners a quick and effective way to create, launch, and manage retargeting campaigns all over the web, Facebook, and mobile apps. So this is one of the many tools they can use to entice their shoppers to return and make a purchase. So in addition to that, Perfect Audience also allows Shopify store owners to control pretty much everything within our application. So they can control placements, campaigns, timelines, creatives, and budgets for ROI-positive advertising that takes advantage of that 90% figure that you mentioned earlier. So we know that around 90% of shoppers who do not convert on their first visit when they do go to a store, retargeting is one of the most powerful ways that you can bring visitors back to your site.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I know that is a reality. I know firsthand experience being an entrepreneur in the past in the optical space that you're getting people to your store and to your website, and there is some desire for the products. They've somehow have arrived, but it's a noisy web out there. And I think the idea is a delicate nudge in the right direction about, hey, remember me, or remember this cart, this cart that you had loaded, or remember this sale that was coming up. It's very interesting that Perfect Audience has the technology to be able to reach back out to these people and bring them back. It's not a new topic, but I think you do it in a very unique way. And I think we're going to dig into that today.
Yeah, definitely. So in addition to targeting or retargeting users who have added products to their cart, there's a number of ways that you can use retargeting outside of cart abandonment. So looking forward to talking about that in a few.
Beautiful. So tell me a bit about the history of Perfect Audience, because some may or may not know of your brand. And so it's nice to kind of, I guess, set the foundation a bit.
Yeah. Perfect Audience has been around since 2010. We were one of the first retargeting companies in the space. In 2014, Perfect Audience was acquired by Marin Software. So this acquisition gave us big company resources while retaining that small company mentality of a startup. So highlighting innovation, flexibility, and the ability to give personal attention to our advertisers. That's all of our key goals today. Our founders originally came from a variety of tech backgrounds and brought years of experience into the creation of a better way for small, mid-sized businesses to manage their retargeting. In addition to this, one of the things that is also unique about Perfect Audience is we do cater to enterprise customers. So Perfect Audience was built for mainly small and mid-size, but the platform does scale to manage ad campaigns for very large customers.
And so what are some of the advantages of Perfect Audience kind of versus the competition? Because there are some kind of homegrown kind of manual methods of understanding where a customer has been, either just showing up on the website and then potentially going into Facebook Ads Manager and just doing a manual retargeting campaign. This is not new. And there's a few other apps and things that I've seen, even in the Shopify ecosystem. But can you kind of share what Perfect Audience has, what its value prop is, I guess, versus the competition?
Yeah, definitely. So Perfect Audience is a platform that is built to have simplicity in mind while also allowing advertisers the most access to reach. So an example, going to Facebook. Facebook is awesome and it has a bunch of different options and tools, but it can get very overwhelming for an SMB or even enterprise customers where it takes tons of time to set up. One of the value props of Perfect Audience is it is our goal to kind of have you set up and running campaigns in a very small amount of time. Our Shopify app can allow a advertiser or store owner to come to Perfect Audience and have all the main components set up within a couple of minutes.
Very cool. And so this app is fully onboarded. So you load it up, you put it on, you connect your store. There's going to be, we'll talk about some trials and things that are going to be available for listeners today. But essentially, does this fit all different types of brands depending on where they are in the early stage or if they're enterprise? Will it all connect in the same kind of easy method?
Yeah, definitely. So Perfect Audience is built to be used by anybody. And then once you do set that initial building block pieces up, one of the awesome things about Perfect Audience is the inventory that allows you to have access to. So running retargeting ads in Perfect Audience means that you can run ads across the web, all Facebook properties, and mobile apps. To kind of do those separately is a huge amount of time that you're going to have to put into each individual platform. So Perfect Audience was built to bring that all together and basically allows you to manage everything in one easy-to-use app.
I see. And then what about reporting? Some people complain a little bit saying, do we want a machine to make all the decisions about the retargeting or just the advertising in general, bringing people back? How does Perfect Audience fit into that as far as maybe the human element and then the machine element at scale?
Perfect Audience has a healthy balance between both. So one of the things that sets Perfect Audience apart is going to be Perfect Audience allows you to control your campaigns, budgets, creatives, placements, and a whole bunch of other factors all within the application if you choose to do that. Perfect Audience is built to be super simple. So when you do launch a campaign or you're setting up stuff, there's a couple of defaults that you can always lean back on if you're looking to get set up right away. But we do allow you more granular control.
That's excellent. So how does Perfect Audience fit into an overall company's marketing plan, so to speak? Because there's so many tactics as far as a digital marketing framework? I mean, we have this, top of funnel, this acquisition, this awareness and consideration phase. And there's, the conversion phase, we're converting people to customers. And then there's the retention part of that funnel. So where do you feel that Perfect Audience fits?
So retargeting is a key element of a company's marketing strategy. But as you mentioned, there's a ton of different other types of marketing.
Yeah.
So we do know that it's one element and it's kind of one of the more important ones, but there is a bunch of different other types of marketing that you can do. So retargeting is going to be focused on customers who are midway down the funnel and further. So think of people who have shown interest in your product or been to your site. That's where retargeting is really going to shine. Customers first arrive at your site from a search or a social post or somewhere else on the web. And then depending on where they're going to be at in the funnel, and this is going to be based on where they visited on your site, retargeting takes over at that point. So if you have the campaign set up to target people that have added a product to the cart but didn't purchase, that's one very important type of retargeting campaign. Mm-hmm. But you can also, on the flip side, use retargeting to re-engage with past shoppers. So if you have your audiences segmented out in maybe users who have purchased from you multiple times, so you know that those customers are a high value to you, you can set up a very specific type of campaign and offer them a specific code to entice them to come back to the site and purchase again.
I see. Yeah, and definitely, obviously, the lifetime value of a customer. I mean, I hate to say it, it's somewhat easy to get someone to make a first or initial purchase on your website. It's just how do you build a lifetime value? And so you're suggesting that Perfect Audience has a campaign option to specifically retarget someone to try to push for that second transaction.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the really cool things about the Shopify app that we have is, again, it's going back to making the onboarding as quick as possible. So when you do install the Perfect Audience Shopify app, one of the things that we're able to do, because we're a partner, is spin up a couple of audiences that we know will group users into buckets that are worthwhile. So we'll bucket users into people who have visited product pages, people who have visited the cart page, people who have purchased, and then all of those audiences will already be set up for you. So you don't have to take the time to do that. And then you can create different types of campaigns based on those users in Perfect Audience.
Are there any kind of campaigns that are more successful than others? I mean, there's the typical kind of discount, but are there any others you can think of that are important?
So I think the add to cart is going to be probably the most important for a e-commerce type site. But in addition to that, it goes back to stepping back and using retargeting for things outside of just abandoned carts. So if you're driving people to your site that are just visiting the homepage, while those customers aren't further in the funnel, it is key to retarget them with different messaging to start getting them further down into the funnel so they get into your other sales messaging. Mm-hmm. So there's really tons of different retargeting campaigns that you can run, and all of them serve a purpose.
Now, right now we're recording in end of July, and I hate to say I'm thinking about BFCM, but Black Friday and Cyber Monday are a massively important time of the year for all commerce retailers. And can you share how you feel Perfect Audience is going to fit into that mix? Because I always think about ad costs and things scaling up quite quickly over that time period. I'm just curious to see, does it make sense for people to have Perfect Audience installed now and start understanding all of the customers', I guess, almost anonymous journeys on the website, and I guess almost building a database of information of site visitors in an attempt to want to have an extra successful BFCM weekend? So I'm just curious how Perfect Audience could potentially fit into that mix.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. So even if we're going back to something that's even coming up sooner is back to school. But regardless of back to school, Cyber Monday, or Black Friday, you have to keep in mind the way that Perfect Audience is able to track users and the way it allow you to build up audience data is one of the key pieces is we have a thing called a site tracking tag. So the Perfect Audience site tracking tag, now if you use the Shopify app, that's automatically installed into your store's theme. But what that allows us to do is start building this audience data. And the more audience data that you have built up, the more powerful all of the campaigns that you run at a later point are going to be, just because you have audience data that's been in the platform for a couple months. So you know who your purchased users are going to be, you know who your cart visitors are going to be. You really start just segmenting your users out and have months of data before it gets to that really important time of the year.
Perfect. That's awesome. So this show has a really diverse range of listeners. I'm going to be honest with you. We have some that are, I'd almost call them early stage entrepreneurs or brands are on Shopify. So they are kind of in startup land. They could be a bootstrapped kind of side hustly kind of thing going on with Shopify kind of core customers. And so could you give, because you have so many customers and you retarget and you know what success looks like from a retargeting perspective and a campaign perspective, and I'm sure there's some data that's been pulled out of the Marin company now too, which is the enterprise paid acquisition engine that I know is a lot of enterprise companies are using and a lot of agency partners are using. But I'd be curious to see what kind of advice you would give for these early stage entrepreneurs today.
Yeah, definitely. So it goes back to that statistic that you mentioned earlier. It's well known that a majority of people that do visit your site, a large portion of them aren't going to make it fully to the end of the funnel. So making that purchase or that conversion event. So our advice to a company of any size is to have some sort of marketing in place to just re-engage visitors that haven't gone through that complete purchase. So an app like Perfect Audience allows you to do that easily, just because, again, Perfect Audience was built to be a simple to use marketing platform that allows you the most reach across pretty much anywhere that you can reach a user. So the web, Facebook, and mobile apps.
And so what sort of results do you think people could get if they install I guess it's kind of a loaded question, but it just, for those listening today, I guess depending on their maturity and their current volume, I guess data really, the more data, the better, the more traffic, the better. But is there any kind of expected results or should you be patient?
Yeah, definitely. So retargeting, just because we are going to be further down on the funnel, you do have to pay close attention to those cost per acquisition metrics, the CPA. So one of the cool things about Perfect Audience is after it is set up, you're going to spend a majority of your time in our dashboard view. And our dashboard view is another thing that sets us apart because of the transparency that's visible on that page. So we do kind of call out the return on investment metric. And depending on where you're at and how fine-tuned your marketing campaigns are.
I think it might be worth mentioning here, that on the dashboard, we're going to show the exact value of each conversion because a lot of Shopify merchants have all different types of products with different values. And sometimes you get a $20 conversion and sometimes you get a $150 conversion. And we're going to be counting each of those automatically and dynamically. That's another part of our integration, that it counts the exact value of the conversion when it comes through.
Oh, I see. That's excellent. And then what about the, we always talk about attribution. It's a very hot topic, last click through conversion stuff. Can you kind of share how you feel that Perfect Audience fits into that? Because Shopify typically is kind of last click and giving attribution to, they don't care about the journey. And I know it's not linear. So, but unfortunately they're giving that credit to the final touch point to conversion. And we know that's not necessarily completely true. So how does Perfect Audience figure all that out?
So we do allow advertisers or customers to come into the platform, and primarily our attribution is going to be based on last click too, just because retargeting is further in the funnel. But we do have attribution settings that for some of our more advanced users that know how they want to handle click-through conversions or view-through conversions. The difference between those type of conversions is one is somebody clicks on an ad, or if somebody has viewed an ad but necessarily didn't click it and has come back to converted, we're able to measure that. So while you don't get visibility to view through conversions in many other platforms, we have that in the app, and then you can modify how those are counted if you do have a more advanced attribution setting set up on your own side.
That's actually a nice pivot to I guess my next question, because there's lots of people listening in today that, I would consider them to be more the mid-market, potentially even enterprise, that, they have a small team, they're eager to grow and scale. What should the marketers or the executive team, in your opinion, what should they be working on?
So the big thing is going to be building that customer or user base while keeping their budgets under control is one of the main challenges for any sized marketer. Perfect Audience allows budget flexibility and complete control over the budgets that are run in our application. So if you come in during typically high season for your business or your store, you can boost up your budgets or marketing budgets for that specific time period. And then if you know that, hey, a couple of weeks after our initial campaign, we know that we're starting to enter the slow season. Perfect Audience does allow you to scale down all your budgets. So it's not a platform that's a static fee or budget that will always be in place, which is a very good thing and powerful thing too, because it allows flexibility for a customer.
And what about KPIs? Because I think that's another topic that I bring up quite a bit. We inside Shopify, they have this merchant growth model. It's a framework to help brands grow and scale. And we talk about acquisition and conversion and retention and brand strategy. And there's quite a few kind of key business areas, and and then their maturities of those. Like, are there certain KPIs that you think some of these more mid-market or advanced ones should be looking out for?
So a lot of the ones that you just listed are going to be the key conversion metrics that someone would want to pay attention to first e-commerce store. So SMB, we know that the main KPI is going to be number of items purchased. But once you start getting more advanced, you can take a look and start attributing different values to different types of customers. So if this is a customer who has repeatedly purchased from us, we might want to modify the revenue value that we're kind of assigning to that user. And that can be done with Perfect Audience. It's a little bit more advanced, but our application does offer that flexibility to do.
I'm just thinking of another question off the top of my head right now. I completely understand adding the app. I understand retargeting the journey through social. And I think that's pretty exciting how that works. And I understand that there's web ads that are being distributed around. So I'm curious on why Perfect Audience is very unique in almost its footprint of web properties and how they're able to scale that out. Is that different than maybe what others are doing in the same space of retargeting on the web? And do you have exclusive web properties with lots of traffic in certain niches? Or are you just part of a larger kind of ad networks that you have relationships with? I'm just curious on the technical side of it. Those that are enterprisey guys that are listening today would like, oh, okay, so that's why Perfect Audience is so awesome, because their web footprint is much larger than others, or different, or better, or it's part of the platform's AI. So just would like to hear your feedback on that.
Yeah, definitely. So Perfect Audience does partner with a lot of the leading exchanges that are available today for all web-based display ads. There are companies that are similar, that have similar types of relationships, but one of the things that kind of sets us apart is if you are medium or large size enterprise and you're using Google today as an example. Well, Google is just one of the exchange partners that we do partner with. So when you do have the ability to partner with people outside of Google's ecosystem, that's when you can kind of see some interesting data. So an example is if you're just running on Google today, maybe the CPM or the cost per click is higher than what you would see on one of the other leading exchange partners that we kind of do have a partnership with. In addition to having this reach with different exchange partners, all of that's already set up. You don't have to go out there and you don't have to build a separate partner relationship to partner with, say, a Rubicon Exchange or OpenX. Perfect Audience already has that partnership in place. So if you do run advertisements with Perfect Audience, your ads are going to be sent to a number of different exchanges, not just one or two.
What about regulated industries like CBD or cannabis? I'm just curious on how Perfect Audience fits into that mix.
It depends. So Perfect Audience, because we do have these partnerships in place, it's kind of going to be the exchange or whoever's going to end up serving the ad. They have their own quality guidelines. So we most of the time will defer to their guidelines that they have established. Now, CBD is interesting because it kind of falls in a gray area. So for a lot of the CBDs type companies that we do have coming in, we kind of have the approach right now of give it a shot. We're seeing customers that are running ads across the web without any issue. But sometimes we do see a rejection from an exchange partner where we'll have to go back to that advertiser and work on kind of modifying the landing page or the ad that's being used. I think the larger exchanges are letting more CBD type companies serve ads now, whereas a year ago it was kind of across the board.
I'd also probably add to that too is that I think there is some large VC money. There's some deep pockets that are going in through the cannabis and CBD markets, and knowing that, I'm sure that these ad exchanges, as much as they're trying to protect the integrity and the quality of the search results that they have or the ads that they're displaying on their networks, I also believe that they're like you guys. There's lots of conversations that are happening like every week about, well, it's getting more and more mainstream, especially in CBD and the health benefits benefits that go along with all the different types of consumer packaged products that are coming out with CBD. So it sounds like people and ad exchanges are warming up to the fact that CBD is not going away anytime soon. And with legalization in Canada, and I don't know how many states in the US, and Shopify certainly owns the market when it comes to running cannabis retailers on an e-commerce platform. So it's pretty exciting kind of where Perfect Audience is positioning itself right now with their app and this massively growing regulated industry.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things about marketing is we're kind of on the front lines of all the change. When you leave the day and come back the following day, the industry can change overnight. So
very cool. So
it is exciting.
I don't want to ask the secret sauce here, but what's the future hold for Perfect Audience? I mean, we're getting into the third quarter now of 2019. Is there anything you can share about any kind of partner alignment or any 2020 roadmap?
So one of the exciting things that we kind of have coming out in the next couple of weeks is we're revamping our dynamic retargeting product for Facebook. So in addition to kind of having dynamic reach all across the web, we're now going to be throwing Facebook and all of Facebook's properties into the mix. So one of the things that users are going to be able to do, or especially a Shopify store, is they'll be able to easily create dynamic creative all within Perfect Audience, and then have advertisements served to a user based on the last product that they viewed on their site. So a really powerful type of ad that tends to see a much higher conversion rate. That's just one of the many things that we're going to be working on over the second half of this year. In addition to Facebook, we're looking to kind of beef up our mobile offering, and
especially for shopping, yes,
making our audience segmentation more advanced too.
What about Instagram stories? Is there plans of being able to stitch together snapshots of images? I mean, obviously we're not going to have live video. I see quite a bit of engagement, and I even see in my own feed that Instagram stories, even people taking snapshots and stitching them together as a story. Is that something that's coming down the pike with Perfect Audience?
That is definitely. So when we are going to be rolling out this dynamic Facebook, first we're going to focus on single creative, but the idea is eventually go into carousel type ads, and then the ads that are more of the card format that do stitch the images together. So while we are building this out and adding this functionality, to do this all into Facebook, it's incredibly complex to place pixels, build a feed, all of this fun stuff. Perfect Audience Shopify app, and this is one of the things that we kind of forgot to cover or touch on, is when you do install the Perfect Audience Shopify app, we're actually going to create a product feed for you. And this product feed is going to be usable across the web and Facebook and mobile. So this is taking, again, a very important step and automating it for you so you don't have to take the time to set up a feed.
Well, Ryan and Max, this is more Ryan today, but I'm sure, Max, I might ask you a couple questions, but in a minute. We did talk offline before. Since we are near the end of the show, is there any way we could maybe summarize or any kind of closing comments or takeaways that you would like to share with the audience today?
Sure, I can take that one. I would say that Perfect Audience offers a complete retargeting solution. As Ryan detailed, we've got a very sophisticated and detailed knowledge base. There's an article for just about every single aspect of the platform that would be useful for any Shopify merchant, pretty much any type of business, any type of Perfect Audience user. We have a dedicated support team, and they're amazing. We have a problem-solving consultative approach to helping our customers. We take a team approach. It's not about owning this customer or that customer. They're all our customers, and we take a team approach to that. We know it's not a one-size-fits-all world. We know that people have unique requirements. And we do everything we can to put together instructional videos, webinars, blog posts, things that our user base is going to find valuable and is going to help them achieve their goals. So those would be some of the takeaways that I would say is that it is fast and easy to use, but we back it up with people, and we back it up with genuine care and concern for the success of our advertisers. That's the most important to us.
And so, how can people learn more about Perfect Audience, the app, and the whole platform?
Yes, you can go to perfectaudience.com. And if you're in the Shopify App Store, you can just search for Perfect Audience and click through to install our integration with our application with Shopify. And that can begin your free trial in as little as 15 minutes. We'll mention a trial credit here in just a bit, but perfectaudience.com or blog.perfectaudience.com to see what we've been up to lately. Everyone gets a free trial with Perfect Audience who signs up, but we do have a special offer for the listeners of this podcast. If you write into this email address, write it down, success@perfectaudience.com. Mention that you heard us on Fastlane. Use the promo code Fastlane somewhere in there. We can give you a larger than usual free trial, $300 in free ad spend. And taking that back to what we were talking about before, that'll help you see real world results without necessarily spending real world money. So you'll see how it works. You'll get comfortable with the platform. You'll maybe make a couple of changes, or maybe talk to one of our reps about, a modification or a best practice that you'd like to make. And once you've done that, we can transition into continuing your campaigns into Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then beyond to Valentine's Day, Easter, summer. It just keeps going.
Number one, thank you for that extended credit. $300 is significant. Those listening today, really, it's kind of free money to be able to connect the Shopify Perfect Audience app. First of all, let's start tracking and creating a database of these anonymous site visitors that are coming to the site. And then as part of this, having access to their platform and some best practices for sure, cart recovery and any other kind of campaigns that you may want to execute, you have that money there available to be able to execute and run on, and then access to their support team to kind of help in that journey of just improving the ROI. And it's a great way. I find it with a lot of other, like maybe app partners, they offer very similar, maybe not in monetary value, but maybe extended trials, for example. And it's just warm and fuzzy being able to run the application and prove the ROI. It's an absolute no brainer. So 100% please go to the Shopify App Store, look up Perfect Audience, install it, try it out, and prove the ROI. I'm sure there'll be some kind of an onboarding sequence that your team will be able to reach out to these people that have this trial offer and be able to offer some tidbits. I will make sure in the show notes that we'll talk after this recording today to make sure that I have links to the knowledge base, any kind of case studies, any videos and webinars and things that you want to have in the show notes. And so for those that want to learn more, I'll make sure that it's all there and ready to go. Ryan, Max, thank you so much for coming on the show today. As you guys know, it's a massively important topic. There's lots and lots of traffic coming to lots of Shopify brands, and people know the importance of retargeting, but they don't necessarily have the most scalable way to do it. And it sounds like Perfect Audience is really positioning themselves with a nice tight integration now with Shopify to be able to help brands grow and scale in that part of it. And at the end of the day, it's all about ROI. And it sounds like you've got a great fit for a lot of brands on Shopify.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks again for having us on, Steve. This was awesome.
My pleasure. Have yourself a great day.
You too. Take care.
This episode is brought to you by ShopMessage, the marketing channel trusted by top Shopify brands like Fashion Nova, Pura Vida bracelets, Movement watches, and many more. Now, don't forget, take advantage of their generous 30-day free trial by visiting shopmessage.me/Fastlane. That's shopmessage.me/Fastlane. You'll get priority onboarding and a 4x ROI guaranteed just for Fastlane listeners. So go check them out. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you, a loyal listener of e-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, launch, grow, and scale with Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.